Somalis. This was not a colony, but a protectorate. John Drysdale, he's a Somali, and he's a Somalilander. He has been in Somaliland for more years than most of Somalis alive. And believe you me, he understands Somalis in greater depth than most Somalis do.
When Somaliland, which was a British protectorate, became independent in 1960, it merged with Somalia, which was then under the United Nations trusteeship of a former Italian colony. It did so because its interest was in a greater Somalia. It was an example of imposing a centralized form of government and ignoring at the same time the really important Somali traditional values. It never really worked. The coup d'etat which took place in 1969 was mainly because of dissatisfaction and public unrest with the form of centralized government which was operating then.
After the military took over, a lot of development did take place in the initial years because simply that in those years government and administration for the most part was in the hands of civilian intellectuals for some time. Eventually the system became more and more corrupt and fell more into the hands of Siad Barre's clan and sub-clan, and it became more and more repressive.
The one thing that Somalis understand in this day and age is that there is no peace without justice. Peace means equilibrium. It means the equilibrium between people, families, extended families, and clans. If that equilibrium is upset for any reason, then there is conflict.
It was the repression, oppression, mismanagement and misadministration of Siad Barre's force which gave rise to the armed struggle. Because of Siad Barre's policies of targeting Somaliland, the people of the north, mainly the Isaac clan, who were the major inhabitants of the north, for repression, bombardment, killing, poisoning wells. Absolutely unspeakable repression was taking place in the north, and thereby he alienated the population, and the population rallied to the flag of Hassanah.
I decided to join the liberation struggle. My motive was not different from the motives of thousands of people who joined the liberation struggle, and I just happened to be one of them. And of course, my objective was to help my people liberate themselves from dictatorship.
In 1988, I remember I was an acting sector commander, the Western sector commander. We divided our forces only into two main forces. One to Bur'o, and the other flank to go to Hargeisa. And from the other side, there was about four divisions. There was about 100 tanks, and we did not have any tanks. But what we knew was that the people is our people. And these Siad Barre forces came from other regions. And we have the support of the people. And who wins the people will, at the end, be the winner.
All the neighbors left, and suddenly we found ourselves alone. There was no food and there was no water. So we just rushed out of the home. My mother took her goat. She said, okay, I'm going to take my goat on a rope. And then we crossed the dry riverbed, and they were shooting, you know, from the bridge. Across the bridge, the soldiers were there, and we didn't know that they were shooting at us. We just had to, you know, we're just running. And so we spent a few days with a family we didn't know across the riverbed, and of course we had to leave to let the goat go because she was bleating, and people said, oh, they're going to she's going to alert the soldiers to where we are staying, so we let her go. There was, you know, bombardment almost every day and shelling. So with the S&M were withdrawing, you know, going back. So we just had to leave that house, and then with the other people. And fortunately we got a lift on a truck full of wounded people, civilians, children, everybody. And we went to Gedeble, where we stayed another 1.5 months. And then again, there was, you know, aerial bombardment. We were living, you know, under trees. We couldn't cook during the day, or if we had any food, people shared, you know, food and everything. And we were afraid the smoke would alert the airplanes. About midday was the time that the planes chose to come and start bombarding, shelling and across the riverbed. So from there we walked up to the Ethiopian border.
أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم فإن تنازعتم في شيء.
In 1991, the Siad Barre forces were also weakened because of the 2 years continuous fighting. In January, the S&M prepared to take the last of funds to totally defeat the armed forces of Siad Barre region. We took the offense to the Berbera. We captured it in 3 days. The first day we captured it, then we retreated back. Again, we counter-offense. Then after 3 days, Berbera has fallen into our hands.